Many thanks for joining us on Industry Conversation. Today we'll be speaking with the head of marketing for Cadbury Nigeria PLC, Morolake Emokpaire. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, great. So let us start with your assessment of, the Nigerian marketing ecosystem. It's not news that, several companies these days are going into comatose, challenged with the economic pressure. What is your assessment of the current, Nigerian marketing system?
So I think the marketing ecosystem does not operate in isolation of the macro environmental climate.
Okay.
For any marketeer, whatever strategy, planning, or execution starts first and foremost with the proper context of both the macro and the micro environment. And if you look at the indices in the country today, you will agree with me that it presents a formidable challenge, both for manufacturers and marketeers, to read the current trends and understand where the opportunities cross-intersect their own strengths as an organization. It's also important to be very mindful of what your barriers are as a marketeer or a business leader in the FMCG or consumer goods space today, and understand how to mitigate against those weaknesses. I remember very clearly that at times like this that are challenging, there are some outliers that are able to leverage, certain cycles or indicators or trends within the space. Take into consideration, for example, COVID-19. Organizations that already had some level of technological integration into their operations, communications, definitely were able to survive the impact of the lockdowns and the implication on running the businesses. We're here in another cycle shaped by economic dynamics in the economic environment and volatility. So I think it's first and foremost an opportunity for marketeers and manufacturers to do some introspection, a proper internal analysis of what opportunities are there in these tough, changing, times, and really understand how to take advantage of certain opportunities. At the same time, being very mindful of threats to costs, the running costs. It's an opportunity for marketeers to operate more leanly than ever before. It's an opportunity for marketers and organizations to drive more focus around the right portfolio mix, understand the opportunities with price pack architecture. It's also times for marketers to be closer to consumers more than ever before, and prioritize the key need states that are also more profitable and viable, to be able to meet those needs profitably at scale and with a high degree of meaningfulness.
Okay, great. So apart from all of what you've mentioned, what do you underscore as the challenges faced in FMCG, and how do you think practitioners are confronting those challenges?
I think on a top-line level, the greatest challenge for any organization right now is to stay afloat. Speaking to a couple of colleagues, also understanding the dynamics that organizations like the one I work with faces. I think the biggest question is how to ensure that you're delivering sizable operating income for your investors and your shareholders. At the end of the day, as a marketer or a business leader, you're definitely in business to make profits. So there's a challenge if you're bringing in revenue, as you would see with some of the reported earnings in the past 6 months, with high revenue thresholds, but severely impacted by either the effect of devaluation or rising costs. When it comes to contribution or operating incomes, we then begin to see classic variations. So I think number one, staying true to the promise of delivering profit to stakeholders, shareholders, and investors. Number two, staying true to the promise of our brands to continue to consistently deliver quality products at the right prices and meeting their needs. I think these are the greatest challenges that face manufacturers or business owners today.
Okay, great. So what would you say is the implication of, you know, staying true to the brand and to the consumers?
I think number one, brands at this point in time must strive for salience, right? Typical paradigms of marketing will talk about differentiation. Yes, it's as relevant, but at this point in time, it's brands that stay at top of mind or that are top of mind that eventually get into shopping baskets and get in
That's
home.
correct.
So I think salience is important, and as a marketer, it's understanding the power of driving, number one, physical availability, ensuring that your products are within reach to the consumer at this time. Two, ensuring that your products are available at the most accessible formats. That's optimizing your price pack architecture. Number three, ensuring that you're consistently investing behind mental availability. There comes the opportunities to optimize your marcoms, that's your marketing communications mix, your IMC bundle, and your overall proposition to the consumer. I think number three, it's a game about its penetration. It's going to be about penetration in these days to come. Typical school of thought to tell you drive penetration and drive frequency. You'd agree with me, getting into more households, getting into more stores is critical. It's a critical implication of the times that we're in. Number four, costs. Costs to the consumer. Two, your own costs as an organization, you know, must be optimal to survive these challenging times. And I think finally, the promise of convenience, right? Convenience alternatives for the consumer to choose from. The power of variety within reasonable limits. These are critical implications for marketers and business owners to leverage upon, you know, in challenging times such as this. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so what do you think, what are your learnings? What do you think the learnings IMC practitioners should take away from this period in order to realign, you know, with the new realities of the industry?
So I think you'd find out, number one, that the consumer is king.
The
consumer is king.
I've heard that before.
With the availability of some substitutes, more affordable substitutes,
okay,
low-cost alternatives, organizations must understand that consumers will prioritize and rationalize, you know, in times like this. So the question is, how well do we know our consumers? How equitably are we meeting their needs? What is the bond and the relationship as a brand that we're driving to ensure that we're connecting, we're engaging with them, we're top of mind? And when we talk about their needs, it's not just the product needs, it's also their societal needs. You'd ask me, how do I invest? Are we talking about CSR? No, right? We're talking about societal marketing. That means the ability to do business, build brands, but at the same time, not doing it at the expense of common social good. So it's important that brands are more social leaning. I think building brand love is a priority. Sometimes, even in challenging times, consumers will choose the brands that they genuinely love, right? Even when they rationalize, there is a portion or a share of their pockets that they will keep for the brands that make some meaning to them.
That's correct.
Right? And I think the last word is agility over perfection. There is hardly any time to be perfect. You're going to make plans, and those plans will change. It could change per second. I think it's the ability to have a future-proof intelligence system that allows you continuously reiterate your previous assumptions, but at the same time, design them to address your current needs as they are in flux. So we are operating literally in a state of flux. Yes, it is challenging. Yes, it is heart-wrenching, but it's also exciting, right? Because leading as a business leader, as a marketeer in times like this, it's easy when things are calm, right? But I think the greatest challenge of leadership is actually leading in a state of crisis or chaos. Thank you.
Okay, great. So talking about the consumer being king and, having that share of their pocket, they reserve for their favorite brand. Do you expect to see a surge, in the Christmas season compared to other months?
It's quite interesting. If you had asked me this question last year, I would say definitely it's been arranged. Shopping lists are in place. But when you speak to a couple of consumers today, some do not even know we're in December, right? Or December is upon us. I think a lot of us are trying to survive the year, aren't we? Right? But I think it's also important to know what the priorities are, right? And then ensuring that our brands get into those priority moments. If you have a brand that is indulgent, there's some days you wouldn't want to miss your shelf displays. If you're a staple food, then this is the time to speak to your consumers about why you matter, about why you should be their priority, and about why you're with them, right? And helping them either breathe better, be better, or just survive in this tough period. I think even how you communicate as a brand this Christmas will be more important than ever before.
I agree with you. Okay, so let's talk about the future of influencer marketing.
Okay.
Now, what do you see as a future for influencer marketing? And do you think it has been effective, to brands? How effective has it been to brands?
I think within the school of marketing, there are different school of thoughts. There are different opinions about the effectiveness of influencers. I think personally, I find them to be quite effective. But I think the challenge as marketers and practitioners is how we design our influencer marketing strategies. So a lot of brands go into influencer marketing without a proper strategic approach to their use. I think the first questions you've got to ask yourself is, number one, what is the task to be done? What is your overall objective, right, for engaging with influencers? Two, the question of brand compatibility is critical, right? Brand compatibility in terms of the ability of your influencer pool or potentials or prospects to reach your target audience. Two, but at the same time, to speak in congruence with your brand essence, your brand tonality, your brand voice, or even believe in your brand mission. I think this question of compatibility is a big question I see in a lot of executions today. Number three, yes, of course, we'll tick the box in ensuring that an influencer proposal, has the right or sizable audience or engagement rates. But it's also very important to be sure that those engagement rates are within the right demography. I think number four is having a structured engagement plan with influencers. With influencers, it's not one-off. You're building memory structures with your target audience that need to be reinforced. So it's not a one-off investment, you post and you go, but it has to be a sustainable, clear, thought-out plan that is able to reinforce exposures, viralize messages, embed your brand, intended brand message in their everyday lives. I always also advise a blend of both macro and micro influencers. As you're reaching above, you've got to penetrate and hit into the smallest circles of nano influencers where you stroll by every day, right? And I think with those four critical issues, right, there should be some upwards in how effective we deploy influencers into our marketing mix.
Okay, great. Yes, please. So talking about brands, tell us about your company's product portfolio and how and what offerings makes it, stand out amidst the stiff competition.
Okay, so I work for Mondelez International, West Africa. You would know Mondelez locally as Cadbury Nigeria PLC. You'll agree with me that when you see Cadbury, you see purple, and purple is associated with royalty and top quality products. You would also know that historically, we've been partnering with Nigerians through the years, delivering nutritious, delicious bundle of food products. But I think what's interesting is our leaning today. And it's about snacking made right. We know that they're staple foods. We know that consumers, buy staple foods. But at times like this, we're also encouraging you to indulge in wholesome snack times that matter. So you would see from our staples, Cadbury Bonvita, a renowned food and beverage, food drink or food beverage. You'd also recognize that we have Cadbury hot chocolates, quite premium, quite indulgent, to help you get through the hustles of a tough and terrible day where you just need some moments of self-care. We have Tom Tom, Nigeria's #1 black and white striped candies. And I'm not sure if you stumbled on our babies, the Cadbury Candies range, Cadbury Buttermint, Coffee, Caramel. We also have Richoko in Ghana. And I think I've just called a couple, of products that we operate within our mainstream. You will be familiar with our portfolio of chocolate products like Cadbury Dairy Milk, right? Toblerone, Milka. These are just a couple of products that make up the bundle of our promise to continue to love our consumers every day.
Awesome. So personally for me, Richoko is my favorite actually.
Oh, who would have thought? Oh my God, that means I owe you a bundle.
Wow. Okay, I would collect. All right, so tell us, what are some of the iconic jingles of your brand that has remained memorable, over the years for you?
So if you grew up in the 80s or the 90s, you would remember Cadbury Breakfast Television and the jingle. If you also remember, let me clear my throat, the big black sweets where get white stripes. Na Tom Tom, na him be your Tom Tom. So those are some of the jingles that I personally grew up with. And I'm honored to also chat their current, the current communication tonality and the future of our jingles going forward. You'd also see some cool stuff that we've done recent times with Cadbury Candies. There's a Cadbury Candies for every moment. Don't let me break into the song. It's quite beautiful. But I think behind the jingles are powerful messages in terms of the love we have for our consumers, to the space that we want our products to occupy in our consumers' minds and their hearts. Thank you.
So just before I let you go, now tell us, who is Morolake Emokpaire?
Oh, beautiful. Morolake Emokpaire is a creative brand nurturer. I like to call myself a brand mommy, but also a business leader who's on a mission to continue to build brands, build products, build user experiences, and I think most fulfilling, build people as I go through my everyday and my career journey. Thank you.
Okay, so talking about your career journey, tell us, how has it been, recording the feat that you have, in the sort of trajectory that you have achieved it in?
So I think the first thing is having a clear vision, right? And that vision is also very closely annexed to my mission, which is to literally transform things from zero, like bringing a story, from scratch, bringing new stories, bringing new feats from scratch. It's also important for me to design a life where I do not just survive, but I thrive. So those are part of my driving forces in shaping my career. I stumbled into marketing by chance. I am a scientist by education, but I always just discovered that I was ambidextrous and I love to connect and engage and solve problems. It was important for me to meet people, to meet a person in a conversation, and we're able to get a bit deeper. You understand? get a bit deeper, understand what problems, life issues, and then we talk through or we resolve, or you try to cause, just light bulb moments. I think that's it. I think for me, it's about creating light bulb moments, as I meet people and as I grow and evolve. I think that sort of has shaped my career values, or the drive behind my career. It's also not been easy as a female working in typically male-dominated spaces. I think it's another drive or another motivation for me to show every girl child or the next young lady that if I can do it, you can. If I can have 3 children while building a career, pursuing an MBA, gunning for the next level in my education, you definitely can. So I think it's also about bringing more girls or more women into spaces where would have been limiting for them because of their biology or whatever limitations that society or tradition has put on them. This is also motivation, for striving harder to be a better version of me in my career.
Okay, awesome. Just before I let you go, what is your favorite marketing mantra? You didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it coming. But I think it's two things. Number one, failure is simply learning forward. You will go through times in your marketing career where you will have a product launch that has failed. You would have a strategy that falls through the roof. You would have a business idea that challenges you. You would have a project that takes the life out of you. But I think the first thing is to remove the fear of failure, right? It will come, definitely. And sometimes it wouldn't come. But I tell myself, failure is simply learning forward.
Failure is simply learning forward. Many thanks for joining us again on the program.
Thank you very much.
It's been very awesome chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
All
Glad
right.
to be here.
And that's the much we can take on this week's episode of Marketing Edge on TV. Join us same time next week. I am Oluwabukola Money. Bye for now.